I have schizophrenia, and ever since my sister Nell moved into our house, I've felt like she's been deliberately trying to push me over the edge. She started whispering at me, and whenever I'd ask her what she said, she'd pretend to be concerned and claim she didn't say anything. What made me suspicious was that I hadn't experienced symptoms like this in a long time until she moved in. The voices only started up again when she was around. For months, I kept hearing these soft whispers near me. Eventually, I had a breakdown. I cried silently in bed, telling myself, it's just her. I'm not crazy. A few weeks later, I broke down again and finally told my wife, Clara. She looked at me with concern, not because she thought her sister might be doing something, but because she feared I was having another episode. She kept repeating Nadia would never do something like that, but her reassurance only made me more anxious. The whispers around Nadia felt too real, too frequent, to ignore. I started watching Nadia more closely. She often muttered to herself when she thought no one was looking and would just freeze in doorways like she was deep in thought. I began listening carefully around the house, hoping to catch something clear enough to prove I wasn't imagining it, but the more I tried, the more confusing the sounds became. Even though I was taking my meds properly and seeing my psychiatrist regularly, nothing helped. My doctor kept adjusting the meds to try to ease what he believed were auditory hallucinations, but the whispers didn't stop. Every time the meds changed, I'd feel hopeful for a moment only to be disappointed again. I watched Nadia like a hawk. Every whisper, every glance, I took as proof that she was messing with me. I was convinced she was whispering just loud enough for me to hear, but not enough for me to confront her with any clarity. Clara watched me spiral, growing increasingly worried. At first, she brushed off my accusations, trusting her sister completely. But as my obsession with the whispers got worse, so did the tension in our home. Clara was stuck, torn between me and her sister. Then one night something happened that pushed me over the edge. I was walking down the hallway and heard a whisper clearer than ever. I knew it was Nadia. I rushed into the kitchen and found her there, acting totally innocent with a glass of water in her hand. I couldn't take it anymore. I exploded. I demanded she stop pretending and admit what she was doing. She started crying and ran out of the house. I panicked. I knew she was going to call Clara, and Clara hates getting work calls. I couldn't imagine how angry she'd be when she found out what had happened. Nadia didn't come back until Clara arrived home. I braced myself, nervous about what lies Nadia might have told. Clara sat me down and said she was struggling to understand what was going on. I told her my side of the story, but she asked me to let her finish. She said it broke her heart to see me suffer, but that it was just as hard hearing such serious accusations against her sister. As Clara spoke, Nadia stood behind her, crying and nodding like she was the victim. I couldn't believe how far she'd take this. I didn't argue. I just stayed quiet because I knew if I said anything right then, it would be out of anger and Clara wouldn't really hear me. The next day, after I'd calmed down, I tried again. I explained how deeply the whispers were affecting me. Clara listened, but she ultimately said she thought my condition was more complex than what we could handle at home. She suggested a psychiatric facility. The idea of being admitted hit me like a truck hit. Felt like she was giving up on me. We fought. I didn't want to go. She believed it would help. When we couldn't agree, I stopped arguing and came up with a new plan. I'd prove to Clara that Nadia was up to something. Over the next few days, I watched Nadia carefully, hoping Clara would start to notice things too. Nadia still acted strange, sometimes talking under her breath or pausing mid-task like she was hearing something. I didn't say anything. I just made sure Clara was nearby to see it herself. Slowly, Clara began noticing what I had. She became less skeptical and started to believe that something wasn't quite right. I started recording Nadia's behavior on my phone. I got videos of her whispering to herself, pausing in conversations, and moving her lips without sound. Then one night something incredible happened. I had left my phone recording in the bathroom by accident. I was trying to calm down, as the whispers had been non-stop all day. As I sat there, I heard them again, this time clearer. I reviewed the recording later, and there it was, the sound of the bathroom door creaking, then Nadia's voice, whispering right outside. It was undeniable. It was her. I finally had proof. I wasn't crazy. Someone was trying to make me believe I was. I kept recording more instances, and when I had enough, I showed Clara. She watched the videos, and her face went from concern to shock. She saw Nadia muttering, stopping mid-sentence, whispering to no one. For the first time, Clara truly understood. We decided to confront Nadia together. That evening, we asked her to join us in the living room. Clara gently told Nadia that we'd noticed some concerning behavior. When I showed the recordings, Nadia's face dropped. Her hands trembled and she wouldn't look us in the eye. Eventually, she broke down and admitted everything. She confessed that she had been whispering by the bathroom, in the kitchen, at dinner, everywhere. When Clara asked why, Nadia hesitated and then admitted it was because she didn't feel safe living with someone who had schizophrenia. She'd read things online and became convinced I might be dangerous. She thought if she could push me to get more treatment or get me to leave, it would make her feel safer. Clara was heartbroken. She said she understood Nadia's fear, but that her behavior was unacceptable. She told her how much pain it had caused us both. Nadia cried and apologized over and over. She said she hadn't realized how damaging her actions were and promised to get help for herself. Even with her apology, the damage had been done. Clara and I talked and decided that Nadia needed to leave our home. The next morning, Clara told Nadia calmly that she couldn't stay with us anymore. Nadia looked upset at first, then her face twisted with anger. She accused us of abandoning her just like her ex had. Clara stayed calm, but I could tell it was hard for her. Nadia got more upset, saying we were her only family and she had nowhere else to go. But we knew we had to stand firm. Eventually, Nadia went to pack. The silence in the house was tense. Clara helped her, but barely a word was spoken. When it was time for Nadia